So welcome to today's presentation. We're going to be learning all about flexible opportunities at a company called Outschool. We'll learn all about what they are doing and what they're offering. Before we get started, I had a couple housekeeping notes to go over. The first thing is that, actually, this is incorrect. It's a 60-minute or a full hour event with a 30-minute presentation and then a Q&A session afterwards, just so you know. And if you have a question, you can ask it in the questions area of your Zoom chat. So there's a Q&A section and there's a chat section. Use the Q&A section for questions that you have for our two presenters today. The chat area can be used if you're having technical difficulties or anything like that. But for your questions, try to put those in the question and answer session or section of Zoom, and we will try to get to as many of those as we can. The webinar is being recorded today, and a link will be sent to you tomorrow to view the full recording. So if you are wanting to review it or just not able to stay for the full amount of time today, you'll have the full recording to review and look back on later. All right, so just a little bit about our presenters today. Amir Nathoo is the CEO of Outschool, and you can read his biography here, but we are very excited to have him here today. And one of the things that I loved most about this bio was the very last part where he says he believes in helping kids and teachers connect no matter where they are, which as a remote worker and somebody who works a lot with job seekers, trying to connect them to work and help them reach their full potential. I love this. We also have Leo Hannon from Outschool, and he focuses on growth at the company. He also worked at logistics for Uber Eats and has a background in operations and analytics. And we're very excited to have these two gentlemen here today to talk more about Outschool and the teaching opportunities that they have. So Amir and Leo, welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thanks very much. We're excited to be here, Bree. And I'll kick things off by talking a little bit about the background for Outschool. So we're based in San Francisco, but we have teachers all over the country, and in fact, all over the world. And what we offer to our customers is really creative learning opportunities that are delivered online through video chats. So classes take place in small groups of typically 3 to 8 learners and a teacher. And we have today over 9,000 of these classes that are offered by people like you, and over 1,000 people offering those classes through our platform. And we're looking to bring on hundreds more in just the next few months. So hence this opportunity. And our goal as a company is to inspire kids to love learning. And the way we do that is by offering a creative platform for teachers to teach subjects that they've always wanted to teach, and to help kids pursue their interests and to fill in gaps in their knowledge, or to fill in gaps that they're finding with their local schooling. And so we've made a great start thanks to the teachers who are already offering classes with us, and many of whom have become very, very successful. And what we're now looking to do is grow into the tens of thousands of classes offered by thousands and thousands of teachers. And we've been growing very fast. Last year, our business grew 5x, and many people saw their teaching opportunities grow with us. So that's a little bit about the company and where we are today and where we're going.
All right, so to talk a little bit more about the specific opportunity, again, Outschool is essentially a marketplace for live online classes. So what that means is we connect teachers with parents and learners. Essentially, the way that it works is a teacher signs up to teach, they create a class, and then they start getting enrollments for that class. You would teach that class live online through video chat. And then essentially make money through teaching that class. So typically our most engaged teachers are going to be making around $45 per class time, per hour of class time, specifically during school semesters. During summer, we do tend to get a slower period just because people are vacationing, but that's roughly around what you can expect. So the overall idea here is that you're free to teach whatever that you want to teach. You're free to choose your own schedule. You can teach virtually whenever you want. And then another very important point too is, given that it is a marketplace, you would be the one defining the actual rate for your classes, right? So essentially what you want to do is make sure that you're building a profile in a way that's marketable to parents, and that in a way that they can actually buy the classes that you like to teach. So that's the overview of the teaching opportunity. With regards to like overall qualifications, so there's no one specific background that's good at Outschool. It's mostly if you love teaching and you want to do that online, then that pretty much works. Some of our or teachers essentially range from being certified educators with formal experience in teaching to others that literally just have a high school degree and are teaching how to make YouTube videos, for instance. So we definitely encourage teachers to teach what they have expertise in, because this is what's gonna essentially be the most marketable for parents.
And I wanted to talk a little more about the kind of support that you'd have from us as a company and our culture. And as we're talking, you could even visit our website at outschool.com, and the Teach page on there. There's a link to Teach at the top, and follow along so you can see for yourself the kind of classes that are already being offered, and some links to the help and resources that we provide. Because we recognize that, with being remote and flexible and being creative in this marketplace, then, that gives you a lot of scope for, creativity and flexibility and fitting these earnings into your life. At the same time, it's important to be connected and be able to develop yourself and develop your skills, and also to be able to develop your business through our platform. And we realize that that can be an investment, and you'd want support. So we have many ways in which we offer that kind of support. We have an entire team dedicated to it, which includes people coming from a teaching background to a lot of expertise in teaching generally, but also with online teaching. And as part of that team, we also have people who are very experienced offering classes through our platform and becoming successful with their earnings. And so to try and get that learning out there, there's a number of different ways. We provide webinars every couple of weeks with experienced teachers who are part of our community and have been with us a while, who offer their expertise. And that could be on anything such as how to build your following and get your first enrollments, or how to offer a particular kind of class and run it successfully. So that's one way in which we share learnings. Another way is we have a very, very active Facebook group, which comprises the teachers who've been approved to teach on our platform. And there's a ton of knowledge sharing. It's a very collaborative community with ideas and expertise going around. And of course, we aim to provide responsive and high quality email customer support. So if you decide to explore further, then there's a link to help on our website where you can access that team and a lot of the documentation and help articles to get you started. And so, with providing this flexibility, we recognize also the need for community, and we make a very heavy investment in that. And we can talk through the process to getting started in a lot more detail. But I thought rather than have us, talking for a very long time at the start, that we can hand it over to questions and then dive into more detail as we hear about what's on your mind and what your concerns are. But to finish up, we built this creative platform for people just like you to offer online classes for kids that can be very fun to offer and flexible, and at the same time earn up to that $45 per live hour that Leo mentioned. So yeah, I would love to take some questions.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. I think that was a good amount of information in a small amount of time. So we have lots of time for questions, and they are coming in. So the first couple of questions have to do with accreditation and credit that these classes might take. Are these classes related to any sort of accreditation organization, or are they classes that people would get credit for at high schools or universities? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. So these classes are intended to be supplemental. So we do not offer credits as Outschool or partner directly with schools to offer that. These classes are offered direct to families, parents and learners who are paying for them and signing their kids up. And so it focuses on the core learning rather than credit. Now, obviously, if a kid takes an algebra class throughout school or another core subject and is able to improve their skills, then that obviously helps them with their schoolwork.
Sure.
That said, and we certainly do have those kind of core classes such as algebra and social studies and English language arts offered throughout school. At the same time, a lot of teachers have found success offering really creative and unusual classes outside the typical curriculum. For example, the most popular class on Outschool right now is actually learn creativity and problem solving through Dungeons and Dragons. And so, the teacher has the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons and building in learning into that experience. Another, set of creative classes are around math arts, drawing interesting shapes and communicating math through that. We also have a whole host of just purely interest-based classes, such as cooking, singing. We have 10 different classes on cats, everything from the science of cat anatomy through to pet show and tell, where kids learn to speak publicly and tell stories about their cat. So, we take a very broad view of learning, which includes, the traditional subjects for credit and these interest-based subjects. And what that means is that for you, regardless of your interests or whether you've had teaching experience or qualifications in a particular traditional school area, you have something to offer, because you will find that your skills and hobbies are of interest to a lot of other people, and we've built the platform for you to help find that audience and earn money from it.
Very cool. And actually that answered another question that came in about what types of subjects are the most popular, what sorts of, the range of topics that you might see teaching. How long do classes typically run for is another question that we're seeing. And are they one-off classes, or is it like a series of classes that make up a whole course? How does that work? Or does it matter on what the teacher wants to do?
That's a great question. So we offer flexibility, and we encourage teachers to offer a range of different timeframes for classes. So you can offer a one-time class. You can offer a multi-session class that maybe meets once a week for a month. You can offer an ongoing class, which just meets weekly on an ongoing basis. So that's great for things like discussion groups, where kids could join in any particular week, and then there's no specific endpoint. So we provide a variety of those different formats. For new teachers, we usually recommend starting small with relatively short courses. As you build a following, you can offer longer and more expensive courses once you've built up your reputation, your reviews, and your following on the site. So we offer that flexibility. Some teachers like the idea of kind of setting aside a particular amount of time every week for a long period, and so the long courses gel for them. For others, they prefer the flexibility of offering kind of shorter courses and one-time courses.
Great. All right. That makes total sense. Another question related to the topics is, how do the topics get approved? What's the process like for that? Does the course have to be fully formed and ready to go when a teacher decides to submit it? If you could talk a little bit about that process, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two parts to getting the class listed. The first is becoming an approved teacher, which I could talk about separately. Then once you're approved, you create classes and submit them to the marketplace. And what the class description consists of is a few paragraphs outlining what is going to be taught in the class, how is it going to be taught, what kind of style is the class going to take, is going to be discussion, is going to be presentation, and what the goals or outcomes can the learner expect. This isn't these aren't complete lesson plans. These are instead a description that parents can use to make a decision as to whether to enroll their kids in the class. So that kind of description is what's needed in order to get the class published and start getting enrollments. Obviously, by the time the class actually proceeds, then you need to have fleshed out the full curriculum. But it's fine to experiment and to offer a variety of different classes and see which ones resonate before developing them further. And the community and our team can help advise on that. But the important thing is that you provide enough information up front that parents can make a good decision. And as well as the description, we provide other mediums. You can record an intro video to present what sort of the topic you're going to present, and parents really like that to get to know you better and to build trust in how you're going to teach. And we have different sections where you can talk about your background and why it's applicable to this class, and you can talk about what materials or preparation the students would need.
Very cool. Okay. One of the questions that we got is sort of the flip side of your most popular courses or the things you have the most of is what types of subjects are you hearing or seeing now that there is a need for that may not exist? Are there areas that you're really looking for teachers in particular?
Absolutely, yeah. And before we go into this, I'll just caveat it, which is we do have some areas in mind. But if the area you're thinking of teaching is not on this list, that doesn't mean that your classes can't be very, very successful. We weren't looking for a Dungeons and Dragons teacher at the time, but when that teacher came on board and suggested that topic, she very, very quickly became so successful. It became the most successful class on the platform, and she's ended up teaching practically full time. And so, I'll caveat all this to say, we do look we are looking for certain topics right now, but the most important thing is that you're creative and teach what you're passionate about. But maybe I can hand over to Leo to talk about some of the subjects that we know that there are big gaps and there's a lot of demand for.
Yeah, so we have three main subjects that stand out in terms of, I guess, like higher demand than we have teachers for. So they are anything with related to computer science. So any kind of like coding or any kind of like tool like that for kids. Then the other two big ones are actually music classes. So we see a number of or a range of different instruments that people are actually interested in learning. And then there's also world languages. So you name it, there's demand for, Korean, French, Spanish, like all sorts of different languages that people are interested in having their kids learn. But again, it is like those are just what we have higher need for than we have teachers. Mm-hmm. That said, a lot of the times, because it is a marketplace, parents end up buying classes that they didn't even know that they wanted, and they just thought that it was cool, right? So the Dungeons and Dragons things is a good example, or some of our cat classes, for instance. It's just random scrolling. They see, oh, my kid likes cats, and then they buy the class. So
and that's what's magic about it, that many parents don't realize just how much creativity and opportunity is out there, but then once they see it, they're like, oh wow, you mean that learning can actually be fun for my kids and I can connect it to their interests? Cool. and they get really excited by that, and they spend, that's why we recommend being creative, teaching what you're passionate about, and we do provide tools to help with inspiration for classes. So every week we send out an email to signed up teachers where we send parent requests for classes. So parents are able to type into a box on our site any subject that comes to their head that they would like to see that we don't already offer. And we put those together and send it in an email to teachers. So every week you get a steady drip of inspiration about what you could teach. So if you're not sure about exactly what to teach, you could just sign up for our email newsletter. So if you sign up at outschool.com/teach, and even if you don't start the application process yet, you'll start receiving those weekly updates, and that could give you an idea of what parents are looking for every week.
Oh, that's a great tip. Yeah, people can just kind of get a sense of what's in demand. And actually, that reminds me of another question that we had related to the parents. So how does Outschool market to parents? How do parents find out about this in order to actually sign their kids up for classes? What are some of the things that you do for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an email list of over 300,000 parents who have already signed up. And so a lot of the time when new teachers or new classes are posted, it's parents who have already had an interest in Outschool, who have already bought classes from other teachers, who will be browsing our website on a regular basis and receiving our weekly emails. So, in the same way as we send a weekly email to teachers saying, hey, here are all the new requests coming in from parents, we send an email to parents each week saying, here are all the upcoming classes and here are all the new classes that are being posted on Outschool. So, that's how we give visibility of, our class roster, and also give visibility to new teachers who are just starting to post the new classes. And, it's pretty effective, and parents click on those emails, they come back to the site. Even if they don't click on your class, they'll often find themselves coming back to our search page and browsing, and so even if as a new teacher you're getting the benefits of that existing community and existing audience. We also do a lot of advertising on Facebook. That's less around individual classes and more around bringing people into Outschool as a whole, and then trying to direct them to the most applicable classes for them. So that's how we reach parents, but we've got a really substantial audience already, and it's growing pretty fast.
There we go. Sorry, I muted for a second. Of course, the garbage truck has decided to show up in the middle of the presentation, which is always what happens when you work remotely. So actually, that is a good segue into the next question, which is, are these classes done live? So they're actually being taught live, or are they recorded ahead of time and then put out there for people to kind of view on their own? How does that work?
That's a great question to come right after the garbage truck incident.
Yes.
So actually
you can tell we're live.
Actually, yeah, it illustrates an important point, which actually makes it easier to get started on Outschool. So classes happen live, so over video chat like this meeting. And that's really great for the learning experience because it allows for human interaction, which is what parents want and what results in more learning. So you're actually interacting with the small group of learners, helping them in real time, and they're able to ask questions of you and each other. And what parents are willing to pay for that because they know it requires a lot of preparation and requires your time. And but at the same time, they don't expect a live experience to be perfectly produced. There's going to be occasions where one of the learners, dog kind of wanders in the back of the scene and goes out the other side, and sometimes the garbage truck goes by and you have to mute for a second. And obviously, you want to offer a high quality learning experience, but this format actually allows to focus on that experience rather than on polish and high production value. And a challenge of offering pre-recorded classes or any kind of content is that people have high expectations of the level of production and polish, and a low desire to pay because there's a lot of free alternatives. And so with this format, you can make the best use of your time, focusing on the core learning, and as a result, getting better earnings than through content.
Yeah. And that's such a great point too, is that the live adds that extra element of being able to really interact and answer questions and make it really fun for the kids who are doing this.
And personalize it, for instance, like the truck going by,
yes,
as a learning moment.
And turning it into a learning moment. Exactly. Well, I'm sure they'll be happy to know they were a part of it. So related to the classes, what is the age group of students that are using this service? Does it get cut off at 18? Some people were asking if it's for adults also. How does that work?
Yes, it's for kids. So, and the age range is 3 to 18. Mm-hmm. So a very wide age range, but we do cut it off at 18. And so depending on your familiarity with teaching kids at different ages, and depending on the subjects you'd want to teach, you'd set an age range on your class. And we need the age range to be 5 years maximum. So you'd pick a range that it could only be a couple of years, it could be up to 5 years, either for young kids or elementary, middle school, or high school ages.
Okay. And also about the demographics of the students, people are asking where are the students based, and are they English-speaking students, or are there multiple languages that get taught in versus just teaching a language? Are there actually students whose first language is not English? So if you could talk about that, where the students are based, what languages they speak, and then also where you want your teachers to be based as well.
Absolutely, great questions. So it's almost entirely English, all classes in English. We have a small smattering of kind of Spanish classes, but the vast majority are English. The countries, and the learners are almost all in the US, maybe 90%. We do have some international learners from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom as well, but predominantly US based. For our teachers, we require our teachers to be in the US or Canada, or be citizens of those countries if they actually live in another country. And that restriction is because of the background check process that we need to go through in order to approve you on the platform.
Okay. Oh, but actually a good follow-up for that. So they have to be residents of the US or Canada, but did you say they could live in a different country? Is that right?
So either residents in or citizens of US.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much. And let's see, we have lots of other questions here. So I'm just trying to pick the ones that would be the best for the widest audience. Okay, so there's a couple questions. The first is, so the teachers set their own rates for their classes. How does the payment process actually work? And then part of that answer might already be this question, but just in case it's not, how does Outschool make money? How do you guys stay in business?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about kind of payments and fees and how that works. So, you post a class, you schedule it at a particular time. And by the way, you could schedule it at multiple different sites. So you can run it again and again and again, depending on demand. And then when parents enroll, they pay the price that you set per student using their credit card. And one thing to note is that there are multiple students in each class. So if you're charging $20 per student and you get 5 students, then that's $100 that parents are paying in total. And then Outschool's cut is 30%. So in the example that I just described, you'd end up getting $70. And we pay that out 1 week after the class starts. You get that, your portion of it, so that's $70. And we pay out using PayPal. So when you sign up and create your account, you enter your email address that's associated with your PayPal account, and then the money is automatically deposited in that account when it's time to get paid. So that's the basics of the mechanics. And it relates to another question that I've seen come up in the chat, which is what distinguishes us from a typical tutoring platform. And that is this idea that this is a small group class over video chat. So you're not just getting one student, but you're getting several. And that's a really important point when it comes to the payment, because it means that you can earn more in the same amount of time, because you can split the cost between parents. So each parent can pay less than would be typical for one-on-one tutoring, and yet you can still earn more. And then plus, it's a better and more engaging learning experience for the kids, because they enjoy learning from each other in this group setting. So yeah, that's a really important point that relates to both your earnings and the learning that happens on the platform.
Great. All right. Thank you. One question that came in is more for me. Will this webinar be available offline? And the answer is yes. We are recording it, and we will be putting it on the FlexJobs blog tomorrow and sending everyone here a link to the recording. So you'll get that in an email, and you can watch the recording as many times as you would like. So that will be available starting tomorrow. And then let's see. This is a question we often get with remote work, since people are really responsible for setting up their own home offices. Do you have any technical requirements for people who are teaching your classes in terms of internet speed or the types of equipment they're using, laptops and cameras and things like that?
Yeah, so you will need a computer with a microphone and webcam and a fast enough internet connection. If you are able to participate in this webinar, you probably already have that set up already. But if you have any doubts or want any advice on that, then you can check out that help link on our site, take a look at our support center, or email us at support@outschool.com. That's something we can also, that's the kind of thing we can also advise on as part of the application process. Because when you sign up and apply, we offer an onboarding call. So you can speak to one of our team members and go through any questions that have come up through the process of getting started, and we can help you with that.
Great. All right. And just to be clear, these are 1099 freelance positions, that's right?
That's correct. These are freelance positions. So you're offering these classes through our marketplace, and we're acting as a marketplace.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. People are asking about, you mentioned that it is a system similar to this Zoom webinar that we have here for actually doing the classes and interacting with the students. Is that a proprietary program, or is it something that people might be familiar with?
Yeah, it's something that they should be very familiar with, because we actually use Zoom.
There you go.
So again, if you're in this webinar, you already have all the software downloaded that you need. We actually integrate Zoom into our sites, so you wouldn't need to create your own Zoom account or anything. When it comes time to join class, you click a link from our website and it goes straight into your classroom ready to go. So we try and make it as seamless as possible while also kind of using a tool that you'll already be familiar with, which is Zoom.
Great. And in terms of Outschool acting as the marketplace, someone's asking, does Outschool handle the administrative aspects of things like client services, like invoicing, payments, speaking for like the parents who are paying for the classes and signing up if they have any issues or anything like that? Where does Outschool come in, and what are the teachers responsible for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's two aspects to it. There's the providing tools in order to enable those kind of activities. And there's providing responsive customer support in order to handle issues. We enable communication between the parents who have signed up to your class or are considering signing up and you through our messaging system. So parents can message you directly with questions or request different times or communicate with you about their learner during class if anything comes up. And you can message them if you have any concerns or need to communicate something. And so teachers use this to occasionally reschedule a class if there's something's gone wrong and there's a need for it, or to say thank you to parents and encourage them to leave a review. So we try and enable that communication. At the same time, we are ready to step in if there are any issues or disputes. And so if you have a concern about a learner's participation in the class, then our customer success team can review the class recording and advise. And similarly, if the parents have issues, we look to step in. So we try and work in collaboration with our teachers on that front. In terms of the tools that we provide, I've talked a little bit about payments already, and we also provide scheduling tools for both parents and teachers. We keep it simple when it comes to invoicing and hours tracked, because we require upfront payment via credit card. So we generally don't have to have like a delay with invoicing and can receive payments promptly and pay you out promptly.
Okay. A couple more questions about the application process in particular. So one person put it very nicely. If you're interested, what would be the first step to gain more information or start the application process?
Great, yeah. Well, I'm so glad you asked that question and that you're interested. We try and keep it really simple. On our website, if you go to outschool.com and click Teach, there's a Teach button at the top right. You'll be taken to the sign-up page for teachers, and that includes more information and a short FAQ. You can click there to sign up and enter your email address or connect via Facebook. And that's the very first step. And if you do that, then you'll already start receiving those emails with requests from parents, so you can kind of see and get an idea and some inspiration for classes to offer.
Okay.
Then, in order to become an approved teacher, you need to complete a short application process. So we'll ask a few questions, and you fill in a form detailing your existing experience working with kids and with online teaching, what sort of subjects that you want to teach, and your qualifications. Note that we don't require you to be a certified teacher. If you are, then that's great. But all we're looking to get by asking that background is to get a sense of where your skills and expertise are, so that we can check that the topics that you are intending to offer match those. So it's important to be thorough and fill in those questions. And we also ask you to record a quick introduction video with just introducing yourself and your teaching. It can be really short, a minute or two is fine. And then the final step is a background check. So we ask you to complete a social security number based background check in order to ensure the safety of our marketplace for kids. And with that information, our customer support team can approve your application or come back with any additional questions or feedback. So that in summary is the application process. So first step, signing up, and then completing that application form, video, and background check.
Great, thank you. A couple questions about when you are creating a course and you're putting it out there. If you set a price and then you decide that you're not quite getting the number of people enrolled in it that you would like or something like that, can you change your price after the fact, or is that set for that particular course?
You can change your price. In general, we recommend definitely iterating it, but leaving it constant for a particular class, just to avoid kind of confusion amongst the parents. But you are free to go in and edit that price. It's not set in stone. So once you have a feel for how many enrollments you're getting or what your target is for that class, you can decide to reprice. One thing we would recommend is to experiment and try a few different variations, some longer and more expensive and some shorter and more inexpensive. And also be aware that your ability to charge higher prices changes over time, because as you build up a following and reputation on the site, it becomes easier and easier to fill larger and larger classes.
That makes sense. And thank you guys. I have to say, I know I have a few more questions that we can go through, but just for the rapid fire questions and answers, thank you very much for all of the good info.
No, this is great. I mean, this is one of the highlights of this live format, that we can actually, rather than just talk for, an hour, we can actually tailor the content to what's going on. That's exactly. what we hope teachers use our platform for, and why it's great for learning. So this is perfect.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, then let's keep on going with a few more here. So it says, people are asking about, is there an average or typical cost for a class, or the rate that a teacher typically sets? Do you see that there's kind of like a middle area, or is it all over the place, just depending on all the different factors that go into creating a class?
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that go into it, such as the class length, how much time is required to prepare and look at assignments outside of class. Sometimes the subject area, there's certain subject areas or expertise which require a high degree of knowledge and specialization, and people are able to charge more for. So it's a matter of experimentation. That said, we often see teachers charge in the range of $15 per learner hour. So that would be a typical price. I wouldn't say that's set in stone, and teachers take different strategies. Sometimes teachers will choose to charge a really small amount, $5 per learner hour, but they know that this is a very popular topic that they can get a lot of enrollments for, and they're doing that intentionally to build their following. Whereas others are setting a class size of 1 to 3 students in some very intensive core topic and charging much, much more than that because of how they designed the class. That $15 per learner hour is just a guideline, and we encourage experimentation.
Great. And that the last part of what you said there about how the teacher sort of can determine it based on the class size, is that something that the teacher controls? They can actually say how many students per class, and is there a maximum number that they could potentially have in one class?
Yes, so that is something that teachers can control, and we default to, when you create a new class, the defaults in there are a minimum of 3 learners and a maximum of 9, but you can set it, you could set it down like to 1 to 3 learners, like I just described, if you want a really small group, or you can set it larger. We do have a maximum class size limit, which is 80, and we've just found that, with those really large classes, it becomes more difficult to offer a quality learning experience that's genuinely interactive. So that's why we have that limit. Yeah,
that makes sense. And related to that, someone's asking, can you give a rough idea of how many teachers are able to work full-time, or is this more of a like a part-time type of income for teachers? Do you know how people are using this when they're teachers on your site?
It's intended to be part-time supplemental. And the majority of teachers on our site are using it in that way. That said, there are a few teachers who have become so successful, they're finding, they're teaching many hours a day. I would say that's a minority, and that usually has come after a significant period of time, kind of building up a class roster and following. I don't know, Leah, if you have anything to share around the data on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really depends on what kind of like following you end up developing. You can definitely get to use it full time. The more classes you post, then the more students that we'll be able to bring in. We have a lot more people searching than we have teachers for, so there's definitely demand out there. It's just a matter of making sure that you're picking the right or picking topics that people are interested in. And then just like really building your own brand, with different parents, and so it kind of depends on how much investment you want to put into it and into your own profile.
And yeah, that's a great point on the profile. So the way you build your brand on Outschool and get there to the higher earnings ranges is by developing that following. And you have a page on the site, which is your teacher profile, where you don't just have the description, but you have your teacher intro video, and you can record individual intro videos for each of your classes. You can select the class images, the descriptions, the titles, and so how they appear. And it's quite easy to get started, but there's also a lot of depth in how far you can go to really craft the classes. So once you have experimented a little and found success with some classes, we then encourage you to go deep and really fill out all those optional fields. Create those intro videos, really fill out the descriptions to be more detailed and respond to the questions that you're seeing from parents. And that is how you invest in order to get to the higher earnings levels.
Okay. And let's see, there are a couple more questions here. One is if people have offered this class elsewhere, like let's say they have done some online teaching in different places and they've developed a class, are they able to bring a class they've already developed to Outschool, or does it have to be unique to Outschool? And then the reverse of that, if they develop one for Outschool, can they then use it somewhere else?
Absolutely, yes to both. And the content that you create remains your own. If you have existing classes, it's fine to put them up on Outschool, and use the descriptions, use the curriculum that you already have. At the same time, if you create something unique for Outschool and decide to use that description elsewhere, you're totally at liberty to do that. It's your content. We just want to provide the platform that helps you get the enrollments and really build a business around that.
Great. All right. I think some people will be happy to hear that. And let's see, I'm just scrolling through to make sure we haven't missed any of the big questions. Oh, a couple questions just in terms of the, I know we've talked about this a bit over the course of the conversation, but if you could just sum up how the payments work for teachers, how they set the rate. It's based on the number of students in the class and things like that. If you could just kind of give the overview of that one more time, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you create your class, you set the price per student for the class, and then you will get paid the number of students that enroll, less multiplied by the price you set and less our 30% fee. And you can schedule a class multiple different times. So you could schedule it to run 3 or 4 times in September, say, if it's a one-time class. And you might get 10 enrollments for the first one, 3 enrollments for the second, 5 enrollments for the next one, and you just get paid according to those enrollments. But you get to control it by setting the maximum and minimum class size and the price you're charging per student.
All right, thank you. And then like this is kind of an ambitious teacher, can you have classes with prerequisites? So if you had some kind of, classes where they built on each other, is there a way for you to set it up so that people could not enroll in, let's say, class number 2 unless they had already taken class number 1?
So we have a section of the class description where you can outline any prerequisites. And this could be existing knowledge or materials that are needed for the class. You can also define a next class, so you can come up with a sequence that's intended to be taken one after the other, and you could label them in the titles, going part 1, part 2, part 3. That works very well. We don't actually have a hard restriction on enrollment, so we don't stop parents enrolling in part 2 if they haven't taken part 1, if they feel their kid has already met the prereqs. But we encourage you to be very clear in the description so that they can make the best judgment of that.
Okay, that makes sense. And then as far as completing the classes, is there any certification that the kids get? Any sort of like a notice of accomplishment, something like that? A couple of people are wondering.
Yeah, so we offer a transcript on the site so that parents and the kids can see which classes they've completed. In terms of like grades or certificates of completion, we don't offer that as a platform. Depending on the type of class you're offering, you might want to include an offer of a grade. Generally speaking, that's some parents will request that, but generally speaking, that's not required for our classes because they're intended to be supplemental rather than to be taken for credit.
Sure, that makes sense. And then, what is the cancellation or refund policy, if the parent decides they either want to unenroll their student or they didn't like the class? How does that get handled?
Yeah, so again, we provide tools so you can set different types of refund policies from being very strict to very flexible. That's all documented in our support center. So if you want to see the details of that, you can check there. But you're in control of that. There comes a point where the parent can no longer self-serve refund. We provide tools to let them refund themselves, but only within the policy. So if it's set to not allow refunds after a week before class, then they won't be able to refund at that point, and the enrollment is locked in.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Just in summation, I wanted to thank you guys very much, Amir and Leo, for hanging out with us today, for giving us such good information, and for answering every single question. I know there were lots of them. I know the audience is very appreciative. Any last minute thoughts or things that people should know, other than obviously we've got the website up on the screen, so definitely people can check that out. Also, you could go to Outschool's page on FlexJobs. If you're a FlexJobs member, you'll see all of their information there as well. But I would love you guys to offer any last minute thoughts that you have.
Yeah, I'll just round it out by saying, we're so excited to hear from you. So if you have further questions, don't hesitate to email or contact us. We've built a creative platform for people just like you who are looking for flexible and remote opportunities. I think one way to get it inspired, if you're still wondering, aside from looking at our teach page, just browse down the list of classes and click on a few of those, see what other teachers are doing, and click on their profiles so you can see the people already on the site. And I hope that gives you, and you'll see, reviews, you'll see all the activity in the community, and I hope that's at least interesting and hopefully inspiring for you. So I'll just leave you with that thought. But thanks very much. This has been great. Really appreciate you taking the time with us.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And yeah, I'm just scrolling through the website myself. I think I could probably get lost in here for a little while and want to take a couple classes too. Too bad I'm past the age limit, but thank you both very much. And again, everyone, you can go to outschool.com/teach to learn more information. But big thanks to Amir and Leo for spending some time with us today. And best of luck to everyone in the audience. Thank you all for being here, and best of luck with your careers. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.